Well, let's play a little game, shall we? A little thought experiment to cheer us up after the Obamacare ruling. Let's say, for the sake of the argument, that Mitt Romney wins in November and Republicans take back the Senate and hold on to the House. And let's say that all of those small businessmen and women, the wealth creators, the engines of prosperity, who've been sitting on their hands and their money for 3 years now, not knowing what new taxes or regulations were going to come down from Washington, who haven't built that new plant or leased that new truck or hired those new staff members because this anti-business, anti-prosperity climate, it just doesn't make sense. Well, let's just say that all of that compressed spring of economic growth were to be suddenly let loose. What would it look like? Well, I found the answer. So let's bring in our stalwart Steve Green and Scott Ott, and I will show you what it looks like. Lads, now the clip we're about to see comes from Australia, so put aside the fact that the steering wheel of the car is on the wrong side. Now when you watch this, I want you and the people at home to imagine that the driver on the left of your screen represents America's conservatives, that the kindly old lady on the right of the screen represents America's liberals, that the car is the U.S. economy, and the date is the first Wednesday in November after the Democrats are sent packing. Ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Yes, that's what 6% economic growth looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Scotty, I believe that this is going to happen. I know for a fact that the private sector is sitting on tons of capital, just waiting for those idiots in Washington to get off the brakes. Do you think that a conservative revolution will put the U.S. economy into high gear and scare the liberals?
You know, a couple of years ago when I was running for office, I had an opportunity to speak to a group of young Republicans at a local brew pub. And at that time, what occurred to me, maybe for the first time, was what happens if we get our way? What happens if we were able to unleash this engine of prosperity and have the government really serve as just a referee ensuring justice for all, but not regulating and over-regulating everything? What would actually happen? And it occurred to me for the first time that everybody would benefit, not just the conservatives. It's not like just the partisans on my side would get everything they want. The liberals would have, like that lady, she would have the thrill of her life. And in fact, it's even more significant for the liberals because they will have been set free for the first time in their lives to embrace and live the freedom that they had only dreamed that they could impose on the country. And all of a sudden they'd find out, wow, this is like the natural state of things.
How about that? You know, Steve, if there is an explosion in the economy after Obama's voted out of office, no doubt the liberals will say two things. First, they'll say, see, Obama's policies are finally taking effect just as you voted him out of office. And then they'll say, number two, you're all racist who just wanted to see him fail because he's black. But Obama's demonized business, he's demonized success, wealth creators, private jets, and fast cars. He's canceled oil pipelines and refused to drill for new energy. What do you think the liberals will do if the economy takes off under the Republicans? And what would you say back in defense?
Well, we know what they're going to do. They're going to hate it. They hate prosperity. That's why they're always stomping down on it. But we need to go just full Nelson Muntz on these vile progs. Ha ha. You know, a lot of us were saying back in 2009 that there is no way Obama's program was going to work, that Obamacare would kill off job creation, that Wall Street reform was going to kill off business lending, and you know what? Job creation fell off the cliff the month Obamacare became law. It never recovered. Capital, trillions of dollars of it, is just sitting in banks after Dodd-Frank. It's gathering dust. We were right. They were wrong, and we need to rub their noses in it because it's their own, you know what. We made Jimmy Carter into a laughingstock after 1980. He's still a laughingstock today. Now we need to do that to Barack Obama.
And now, the rest of the story. Once it begins to dawn on people just how awesome life can be if the government gets out of the way, I'd bet a lot of liberals will have the same reaction we see here in part 2 of the video. Roll the clip. Remember, conservatives on the left, liberals on the right. See? You know, Scotty, your Trifecta segment this week is on why conservatives are happier than liberals. And I think it's because we like fast cars, loud guns, cool explosions, and all of the other joys of freedom. And when people get a taste of the exhilaration of raw liberty, well, they come right around.
Absolutely. And I think what you're going to see is, you know, remember the thousands of liberals who all left the country when George Bush got elected because they had promised to do so? Well, I think all those people who at least spiritually left the country will come back. And my favorite story is going to be the story of the immense sums of wealth that will be accumulated by two nice young people from Chicago, Barack and Michelle Obama, who will make more money than they ever dreamed possible in this thriving, burgeoning economy.
Yes, Michelle and Barack will make millions on the lecture circuit, and I say let us not deprive them of a single dollar. Let's get them on that lecture circuit full-time as soon as is humanly possible. So that's the kind of loving individual I am. Steve, why isn't this an easy sell? You know, we have more cheap, clean, natural gas in the U.S. than anywhere else in the world, and when you add oil shale, we are, in fact, the most energy-rich country on the face of the earth. Can we turn around this culture of decline and lowering standards in exchange for an awesome future that just kicks ass?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. You know, it's a great question. Here's another thing to try and imagine. What does the world look like when $500 billion or $250 billion, whatever it is, isn't going to corrupt Middle East kingdoms every year? What would happen then? But you know what? The Democrats, the progressives, they love to talk about energy independence and these evil oil companies. But here we have it. It's right under our feet, and they're trying to put a stop to it. Honestly, they don't care where energy comes from. Not really, so long as energy is expensive. Because cheap energy, I've talked about this before, cheap energy allows normal, everyday people to do almost anything they want. Energy is how you get stuff done, how you go places, and the cheaper energy is, the more opportunity opens up for normal people to do great things. Cheap energy unleashes human potential. You know, we've got great things in our future, you're right, but not until we sweep the Democrats out of the way, and they're standing in the way.
You hear that, Mitt Romney? Steve Green for Energy Secretary. Put him in there long enough just to abolish the Department of Energy. He's the man you're looking for. Folks, you know, if we win in November, then this is going to happen. So, you know, we have to win in November. Not only for those of us who, like the driver, know the exhilaration of freedom and vision and prosperity and fun, but also for those poor, frightened liberals who just don't know any better. For PJTV, I'm Bill Whittle.